Well, hello, my friends. It's Shawn Petite, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Look at this beautiful scene we're making today. Oh, I love it. Here are the supplies that I'll be using for today's project. So I am starting today's project making my own collage papers. I knew the color palette that I wanted for this piece, and I looked through my stash and couldn't find exactly what I wanted. So, and this also gave me the ability to kind of choose the map and the writing and the different things that maybe I was looking for my background papers. So this color is a combination of Payne's Gray and Prussian Blue, and I kind of did a color palette swatch before I started, so I knew what colors I wanted. I did want some brown for the for the mountains, but I wanted some pattern, and I just couldn't find the right thing. So I just grabbed my large old type text stencil and just kind of made my own. I knew I wanted some letters and something in the background. And then I used a combination of Artesa's Cocoa, some raw umber, Lucas raw umber, and a tad bit of that Payne's Gray kind of mixed in there. Isn't that pretty? Love it. And then just kind of picked up some of the extra paint. I knew I wanted some shadow or shading, and so I just I grabbed a piece of cardstock and put down some black paint, and I've got some tissue paper that's taped to a piece of copy paper, and I'm just kind of doing basically like a mono print with my tissue paper. The key here is make sure to pull off your tissue paper from your paper when it's got paint on it, because otherwise if it dries it'll stick to the paper below. But putting it on the copy paper gives it a little bit more stability when I kind of do my print. And you're going to see how I use that paper in just a minute. And so I'm just going to continue to kind of add color to a variety of different papers. And I wasn't exactly sure which ones I would use, but I went with my color palette of kind of blues, some kind of jade and dark greens, and kind of neutral browns, dark browns, that kind of thing. That was my color palette that I wanted for this piece. I also stenciled out my log cabin and my church because I wanted to be able to move everything around and place it in just the right spot. And so, plus I could get that paper, that writing in the background behind my stenciled log cabin and my church. So now I'm just going to start the dance of putting the papers down. And I know this part is not very exciting, but this process is so meditative to me, of layering the papers and putting, finding the right, what goes on in the back and what goes on top. And you'll want to start towards the very back of your landscape, the very farthest layer back, and just continue to layer on top. Now what I do is, so I'm working on an 11 by 14 MDF board, and I have sketched out my idea with a graphite pencil, and I continue to transfer those lines onto the next layer so that I know where I'm going. You can see there that I've kind of drawn out my layers and my lines again, and you'll see here in just a minute I'm gonna grab my graphite stick and I'm going to just kind of look at where my other lines were at, and I'll continue to do that every layer so that I know where I'm going. And it was hard to remember, like, okay, which layer do I want to put the church on, because I wanted it to be partially covered, so that like the hill looked like that it was coming up and around and over, or kind of covering up some of that church, log cabin. But I love this process of layering, and one of the key things here is creating contrast between the colors. So I've got the dark blue, and then I've got brown, and then I've got some green, and just kind of creating that contrast of color to make it interesting. I'm using Liquitex matte gel and a credit card to put my papers down with, because I didn't want all of the wrinkling. I want some, but I've got so many layers that it would be too much. And so I needed to have my papers kind of smoothed out a little bit. I've got, and I'm adding just a few bits and pieces here and there that are kind of not in order of the layers, but I wanted some additional contrast and color in my layers, in my heels. And so that's why I added some of the lighter color there in the background. And I'm working my papers, I'm tearing them in sections. That's usually kind of the easiest. And I lay my papers down and I just kind of trim off along that line, but I'm also letting it be imperfect. And that's really key when you're doing something like this, like a collage landscape, is let the papers kind of do their own thing. I mean, you kind of want to go along the lines, but that kind of natural tear and unevenness is really beautiful and adds to the character of the piece. I put my church in, and again, sticking it behind the layers so that it looks dimensional and interesting. And then just creating my space for my frozen lake. And again, just trying to smooth everything out as much as possible. So now that I've got everything down, I'm going to just start adding additional color, especially in the sky, because I really wanted that to be dramatic. I'm using the fluid. I'm using two different colors, Deco Arts Prussian Blue and Golden's Payne's Gray in fluid acrylic. Very light, very fluid, because I wanted it to be light, because I really wanted that paper to show through. But I also needed to add some dimension, some depth, some shading to the sky, and to kind of make it dramatic. This was a night sky, and so I wanted it to be a little bit darker to really kind of accent the moon that I'm going to be putting in there and the stars. So now that I've got my color down in the sky, I'm going to create my moon. And I didn't want it to be perfect and solid. I wanted there to be some, kind of like you would see some of that gray in the moon. And then I also wanted there to be kind of this halo. When you look in the sky, there's kind of that halo light around the moon. I wanted that as well. And so I tried to do that with my finger, and it just wasn't working. But you'll see that I will get that effect. Filling in my lines on my cabin and my church using the same color that I stenciled with, which is a raw umber. And I'm just going to add all the details to my church and my cabin. All the supplies that I'm using today are going to be listed on the blog, and the link to the blog is down below in the YouTube description box. So now I'm going to just start fiddling with everything. I'm doing the dance, and I'm trying to add lights and darks and shadow and shading. Working on my lake here, I wanted it to be frozen, like where you would go ice skating. And so I'm making the edges white so that it looks more like the closer you get to the edge, it's more white and frozen. And so working hard to add that dimension without covering up the paper. So here's my tissue paper where it comes into play. I love how this looks. It added just this right amount of shadow that I couldn't have really gotten any other way. But it's like you would see, like maybe there were plants or different things in the landscape that was creating shadow. And I just positively love how this looks. And I can put it down and it still allows the layers underneath to show through. And I'm putting my tissue paper down with Liquitex fluid matte medium because if I tried to do that with the gel medium, it would be too thick and tear the tissue paper. I just love how all of that black tissue paper looks, how it adds this really great shading. Now I'm getting some reflection of the moon on my lake. So now I'm bringing in my soft pastels, and here's where all of the details really, really happen. You're going to see me kind of go overboard and then bring it back. I love working with soft pastels because there's no risk, and you'll be able to see me add too much and then be able to take it back. So I'm adding some kind of haziness in the sky because you're going to see in a minute I'm going to create my chimney and have some smoke going up into the sky. And I'm just envisioning, like, when I see that smoke going up and towards the moon, you kind of get this like layer of smoky haze, and that's kind of what I was going for. This process of layering the papers and all of that is so meditative and so good. It's exactly what I needed, and I share all about the inspiration of this piece at the end of the video, so I hope you stick around for that. Adding some additional shading on my cabin and my church with my charcoal pencil. And I'm going to just start adding a few colors and different things like that with my soft pastels. And I love the colors and adding that just tad bit of depth to each layer. So I knew that I wanted to add some snow in, just like a light dusting of snow. Well, you're gonna see me go completely crazy. I'm not exactly sure. I just was in the zone and I started covering everything with snow. And while it was pretty, it kind of took away from the beauty of the piece. And so you're gonna just watch me layer it all up, and then I'm gonna come back and take it back off. But this is good. This is good because you'll be able to see how easily and how risk-free it is to use your soft pastels. So that white around my lake, I wanted it to look like the lake was frozen and I had scraped off the snow and it was all the way around the edges and everything. It was a little bit much. And I just kept adding snow and adding snow. Oh my goodness. I was just going to town. Like a blizzard or something. I'm not sure. But once I stepped away from it, I was like, wow, that's a lot. Adding some splatters, I just took some gesso and watered it down, and using my thumb on my brush and just kind of splattering that sky with, it looked like diamonds. So now you can see I'm picking up my soft pastels. I've got a wet brush and I'm coming back in and just wiping away what I don't want. And you can see how I've started to wipe it away and how that's simplifying. I left the background mountains pretty covered in snow, but then I'm kind of coming back over and picking up some of that snow that I had originally put down. And just that simplified it enough to kind of make it feel okay again, and not as busy. But it's really fun to work with your soft pastels with a wet brush because you have a lot of control, and you can pick it up or brush it or smooth it, or you can see I'm even adding a little bit of green with my brush, my wet brush. Lots of fun, but just kind of going back over and picking up, I'm softening some of that white around the edge of the lake. So much better. Adding just a few bits of snow on the cabin in my church, and just a couple other little bits, and that's about it. Super simple piece, really, and very, I just love the process of creating papers and collaging and the layers and all of that, being able to kind of place things exactly how I want them. So the stencils that I used today will be on sale for this week, and I hope you stick around for the conversation at the end. Subscribe and like and all those wonderful things, and I'll see you next week. Well, hello my loves, and happy Sunday to you. I am just in love. Love this little scene here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I went over everything in the video. The stencils I used today will be on sale this week. Pretty straightforward, nothing. This, I just want to say real quick thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for the response to the sale, the after Thanksgiving, Cyber Black Monday, Friday sale. Just so incredibly grateful, and we're working hard at getting all of your orders out. And just thank you so much. You guys got some good stuff. All right, so for this piece, the inspiration behind this piece, it actually happened, the inspiration happened with me being completely unaware of what I had, something completely different planned. This just kind of came about. So I'll just share. So I got, let me just pull this up here real quick. Okay, so I got a new tablet, and I was in the process of, so it's got a really, the reason I got it is it's got a really great pen so that I can do some stencil designs and different things like that. And so I was just, you can see here, I was just kind of playing with shapes and all the different features and the things, and I was playing with the calligraphy styles and all that kind of stuff, just lots of different things. And as I was doing that, I just started writing. And I wrote, no sound, no noise in my head, shake it off, re-energize, let go, release, pause, tranquility. Because up here I was trying to do some fun, pretty things, and then it just started, it like flowed out of me. Let go, release, pause, tranquility, break, vacation, pause, rethink, appreciate, center, rest, refocus, cozy, let it all go, get quiet, peaceful, do nothing, create a place of peace, creates peace in my mind. Where is my gratitude? Open your eyes to the beauty, stop controlling, appreciate what's right in front of you. Very telling for all that is going on. I mean, it's interesting because you can be grateful and things be hard at the same time. And while I am incredibly grateful for everything, for all the orders and for everyone being healthy and all of that, and us being safe, and I'm incredibly grateful, and yet it's been a hard week for lots and lots of reasons. New restrictions for lockdowns and things like that, and staff having to be home because possible exposure to COVID, which is a hard time because we're super busy and all those things. And it's just, I'm working nonstop, and while that's wonderful because we have all the orders, I'm exhausted. And as you can see in my journaling, as I was writing out, like, whoa, it just like flowed out. What I needed was some rest and some peace in my mind, and refocusing on the good and what's beautiful right in front of me. And as I was just writing this all out, I was envisioning this place that I would go to rest. And this is what it looked like. And I've got my little cabin over here where I'm cozy and warm and it's peaceful, and I'm reading and I'm not doing anything. I'm not working. And then I've got my chapel over here for my spiritual renewal. And I've got this little lake here that is reflecting the moon, and it's just so calm and so peaceful. And it's like when it starts to snow, it gets really, really quiet, and that's what I was envisioning as I was writing. And then I took it to my table to create it, and that is the inspiration behind this piece. I always have the capability to create peace, if only in my mind. And so do you. And while it is really, really hard, we can do that. And it is okay to be grateful and tired and wanting a renewal and a change. We can have both of those things. The more grateful we are, the more our perspective and our focus changes. But we can be really grateful for where we are and still be frustrated with all the things that are happening. It can happen at the same time. And I just want to say it's okay to wish for peace, or wish for whatever it is you might be wishing for. It's okay to want something different. Keep that gratitude in next to that wishing and wanting change and needing rest or whatever it is, because that gratitude balances out all the other stuff and it keeps it from going into bitterness and anger and rage. That gratitude grounds us and keeps our focus on the good, even though we want the change and the things, and we want rest or whatever it is. We can still use that gratitude to help us move forward and not get stuck. And I just hope that you are creating your peace of mind, you're creating your rest, you're creating whatever it is that you are needing right now, and that you're doing it with gratitude. And that'll make all the difference. So, my loves, I hope your Sunday is awesome and restful and peaceful or fun and energetic, whatever it is that you need. I hope that that's what you create for yourself today. Whether you create it in a piece of art or we create it within ourselves. For me, creating this, just the actual creating of it was like the calming that I needed. Well, part of the calming that I needed. And then whatever act it is that helps you create whatever you're needing, do it. Create your peace and your joy and your rest or whatever it is that you want. Just look at it for one day. Just think, I'm just going to do this. Create this space, this peace, this joy, this whatever for one day. And then do it again the next day. And our whole, all of our inner soul and our outer work, it changes when we just do one day at a time. One day at a time. All right, my loves, I hope that you have a wonderful Sunday, and I hope that you always, always know that you are loved.